Okay, hello. Well, I should introduce myself. I'm Toby Green. I'm the publisher for Policy Commons. And in this video, I'm going to introduce you to Policy Commons and to some of its features and walk you through the site. I set up Policy Commons. In fact, we started the project in 2019. Previously, I'd been the publisher at OECD, and when I was at OECD, I kept on hearing from librarians and users how hard it was to find grey literature from international organizations, from non-governmental organizations, and other groups, think tanks, and so on. And so when I left the OECD, I had this sort of idea buzzing in my mind that there needed to be a solution to this problem, and hopefully Policy Commons is the solution. So we launched Policy Commons right at the beginning of 2021, and as you can see now, we're indexing just over 11 million items from a pool of 31,000 organizations. We only have content for about half these organizations, and I'll explain a bit later why we've only got content for some of them. Policy Commons is organized into modules. We have 4 modules at the moment. So the first module was global think tanks, and as its name implies, we gather content from international organizations, non-governmental organizations, think tanks, projects, networks, other groups that are producing grey literature in policy. So this was the original launch part of Policy Commons. You can see we've got now just over 5 million items indexed, and obviously we give full text access to most of that content. And it's coming from a directory of 24,000 organizations that grows all the time. This is probably in fact, certainly is the world's largest database of content from think tanks and other policy organizations. We then moved to cities. We actually acquired a collection of urban documents for North American cities, and we've added on that by now crawling over 600 North American cities and urban agencies, and we're indexing just over 1 million items from those sources. The popularity of the North American City Collection led us on to do world cities. So we've now got about 1.5 million items from it's about 1,000 cities around the world, and we're adding new ones all the time. Our newest module, which was launched right at the end of 2023, is World Governments. We're at 3.7 million items. This is still growing and developing. We're drawing the content from about 150 government entities. These could be parliaments, it could be ministries, but also we're looking at government agencies and other government entities. So that gives you a quick overview where the content's coming from. So let me introduce perhaps the best way of looking for the content, and that's to do search. So I'm going to do some searches for you, and I'm going to do a search climate and Bangladesh to begin with. Now you can see here I put the word "and" in capitals because we obviously have the usual Boolean operators. So I'll walk you through those operators. So here, just using and this is a full text search. So we're looking for, in this particular search, for 2 words, climate and Bangladesh, appearing anywhere in the full text of a document, in the title, in the abstract, in the full text. And it's found, as you might imagine, an awful lot of content. So we've got nearly 75,000 reports. In the facets here on the left-hand side, you can quickly see most of that content comes from think tanks in the think tank module, but we do have quite a lot of content coming from the governments and even from from some of the city reports that we have. You can also look to see this is items in the full text of publications. We also have some tables. I'll show you the table tool later. We also have 21 organizations that fit this search and 2 topics. You can then filter your research by publication type. So we're covering a very large set of content types. So obviously the bulk are reports, but we also do cover articles, projects, blogs, data sets. We've got a lot of different content types in the database. Mentions I'll come on to later. There's a new module. It hasn't actually been formally rolled out yet, but I'll discuss it a bit later. You can filter your results by organization. You can click on View More and begin to type in the names of organizations. So if you happen to be wondering, does in the case of DFID, do they have any reports? You can just simply start typing in their organization name to be able to find them, and that's one way of filtering your results. We have many different languages. The bulk of the content is in English, but even this search has got content in French, Spanish, and other languages. You can obviously filter by year. And then we analyze the content as we bring it into the database, and we attach topics to it. And so you can filter by the topics, and you can even see when we added the content to the database. So even in the last week, we've added 168 items for this particular search. I'll go back up to the top. You'll see here, obviously, that's the title. This is who it's from. If you don't know who that organization is, you just simply click on them. It'll take you to their organization page, and you can quickly see that this is a Bangladesh-based organization called Climate Action Network, and you can begin to see their publications. So if you don't know who they are, one click will take you to give you some idea of who the organization is. You can see the date when this particular report was published, and obviously it's in English. This section here, that's from the summary. Now, we're dealing here with grey literature. Grey literature, unlike journals or books, often doesn't have a formal abstract or summary. We have tools that analyze the content as we're bringing it in, and we will create something that works as a summary. You can see that this one is one that's been created because it's got all these dots in it. But this is what we do when we're bringing in the content. And it's one of the challenges of dealing with grey literature. The content is very unstructured. It doesn't have a lot of the attributes that you would expect to find with journals and books. This section here, this in fact is clippings from the full text that we put in the search results, so that again the user can see, you can see whether or not this helps you decide whether or not you think you want to access the report. If you want to go further and see the report, click on its title. This will give you the complete summary that we've in this case we've created, and any other information that we can glean from the metadata. So in this case, we know it was published in India, and we know it's got 40 pages, but we don't know, for example, who the author is, because we were unable to find that in the metadata. If you want to view the topic, view the item, just simply click on View, and that will take you to the item. And I'd like to draw your attention here. This has been downloaded from the organization website. It hasn't been served up by us. We're actually take you to the website where the content sits. This, for us, is really important because it means we don't want to take traffic away from these organizations. They need traffic on their websites to make their websites more attractive to Google. And so we link you back to the original website where you can download the content. Now, obviously, we're dealing here with grey literature. Grey literature tends to disappear off websites. If that link breaks, don't worry, we've got a copy of that PDF sitting in our archive, and we can make that available to you. So we do have a preservation service alongside the discovery service. You can share this particular page through your social media or to a colleague via email. We also create a citation for you, which you can take in the RIS format, which is compatible with all the reference management systems. And you'll notice that this will link you back to Policy Commons, back to this particular page. And the reason why we link you back to Policy Commons is we know that that page will still be there. The page on the original website may have disappeared, and we want to make sure that citations work. So we link you back to this particular page. And we have a list tool, and I'll come on to that again in a minute. So that's how you navigate the page. So I'll just take you to another one. Now you'll see here that this one, the title's not too bad, but it's got the content type in it. Again, we're pulling from the content as best we can. Sometimes the titles are a bit noisy. And again, here's a link to the page, the organization page of the organization it comes from. Now, if you were to see an item that you think shouldn't be on Policy Commons, or there's a problem with it, or it's the wrong author name, or there's something you like to flag, we have a flag this item button here. So if you click on that, it gives you a screen, and you can add your comments and send them to us to let us know if there's an issue with a particular item. So that's the very basic search. So I mentioned we have the Boolean operators. So you could, for example, do climate and weather. So you can get, if you put that in brackets, then we're doing climate and weather and Bangladesh. And that brings us a slightly smaller set of applications. You can do climate and not weather. And you can do climate or weather and Bangladesh. So those are the different Boolean operators that you can use in order to help you control your search. Now we have another tool which I'd like to show you, which is our proximity search. So if we go back to climate and Bangladesh, it produced a very large result set, 74,000 items. If I do climate near Bangladesh, I'm now looking for those two words within 15 words of one another. And it doesn't matter which order they come in. So the word climate could come after Bangladesh or come before Bangladesh. But we're now looking for those two terms that are close to each other. And that means it's more likely to produce reports that meet the ones that you're looking for. And as you can see here, the result set is much smaller because we're now looking really for these two terms very, very close together. As I said, the default is 15 words, but you can take control of the proximity search. So if I do /5, so climate near /5 Bangladesh, I'm now looking for those two terms within 5 words of one another. And as you can see, the result set has come down. So that gives you, it's a really powerful tool, and I do recommend you use it. Unfortunately, you can't mix the proximity search with Boolean operators. You have to do one or the other. But that's a very useful tool. Within your results set, you can sort newer first, and so you can see here that we have very current content. This report was published yesterday, so we do have our crawlers are active all the time, and we're bringing back very fresh content. So don't worry about whether you're going to find older content. We have obviously the older content, but we're also bringing in content every day, so it's very fresh. You can export the search results as a CSV file, or again in the RIS format. So that's, other ways that you can take the content away. We have an advanced search screen as well. So again, obviously I've already got a search in the system, so it's already bringing that in for me. But so if I was to do Bangladesh and weather and Bangladesh, but we don't want, for example, flooding. So you can see here that you can start to build really quite complex searches, and you can even direct the search. Say, I want the word climate to appear in title, but I'm happy to have the rest in any part of the document. I'm only interested in content that's been published this year. And it gives you a hint as to how much content you're going to find. You can specify organizations there, organization types. So you can say, I'm only interested in content from IGOs and NGOs, for example. You can look at content types, and you can even say, right, I'm only interested in content from Bangladesh. Leave the language as it is, and then we hit search, and that actually hasn't produced anything at all, because it's really quite a fine, quite a complex search, so it hasn't found anything. I'm going to remove the country Bangladesh. Now it's produced something. So that gives you an idea of how the advanced search can work. And then you can, if you're happy, it's quite easy to edit the advanced search as I showed you there. So that's pretty much taken you through search. So let me go and do another search, and say I want to start building a list. So imagine that I could be here running a project on Indian agriculture. Maybe I'm preparing a class that I'm going to give on agriculture in India, and I want to build a reading list. So I do my search, and then I can decide I want to add this to my list. So I'm going to create my new list. So I'm going to call it Indian agriculture. I hit save, and I've now added this item to the list. I can carry on going down, and then I can add this one to the list. And I could go into this one, and I could say, actually, I want to go and have a look to see whether or not I really want it. And then I can add it to the list from this particular page. So you can begin to build build your list. You can even add organizations to a list. So you decide you want to go to the World Bank, and you want to add them to the list. You could even add an organization to your list. So you're building out your list. Now, obviously, you want to access your list. So if you go up to you, see, I'm signed in as me. You'd have to be signed in as you to be able to create a list. I go to Indian agriculture, and here are the items that I've added to that list. And you'll see here that the facets have begun to build automatically. You can, well, I should just draw your attention to the fact that the list is still private. Only you can see it when you're building a list. Obviously, that makes sense. You don't want to be making a list public or sharing it before you've completed building it. You want to change the list, so you can go in, you can say, actually, I want to Indian agriculture, in 2024, you can edit the line, you can put in, this is for my class, and put in the class name. You can even change the way that the reports are displayed on the list. And here's the important bit. You can either keep restricted only for your colleagues. So obviously I work for Coherent Digital, so I can click that. My colleagues only would be able to find it. In your case, it'd be whatever institution you work at would come up here automatically. Or if you're feeling very bold, you can make it public. And you can even add an image to sort of cheer up the page if you want. So as you notice, I changed the view to gallery. So I've now got this view. Decide you'll change your mind, you want to go back to the list, you can just go back and you can change it. So you've got complete control over the list. Again, you can share this particular page, so share it with your class. You can export using both a CSV or RAS if you want to, and you can even add a list to a list. Now, I'll just show you some lists that have been made to give you some other use cases. So, for example, this is a list of reports that were mentioned in a very long article written by the defense editor of The Economist last year about the Ukraine-Russia war. Of course, being The Economist, they didn't bother to give links to all the reports. So we built a list of all of the reports that were mentioned in that review article. And so, I shared this back out with The Economist. They drew a bit of attention to it. So, there's one way of using a list. You can use it to support something else. This is a list that we developed with some help with some Australians all around Australia's voice referendum last year. So you can build a list around, in this particular case, a political event, but it could be around a conference, it could be around any other event. I built a list. I'll search for it because you can search for lists. COP28 last year. There were a lot of reports released in the lead up to COP and at COP. And of course, during COP, a lot of acts and decisions were taken. We captured them all. And so they're all here in this list of what ended up being 90, 98, 96 items. So again, this is another way of capturing events and making lists. So if I go back, let's do another search. So net zero and not mathematics. And you're thinking, this is really cool. I really think this is a really useful search for me. I want to be pinged. I want to get an alert every time something new is added. Let's go down to the bottom here. We can see here that 232 were added in the last week. So it's obviously quite a powerful search. So you can follow this particular search. You just have to hit the word follow. I'm now automatically following. Again, I'm logged in as me, therefore the system will know my email, and that's it. I'm now following this search, and I'll get pinged emails every time something new is added to the database that matches that search. If I go up to my follows, here is the one I've just set up, net zero not mathematics, and I can set the frequency. I can disable it. I can choose to get it monthly, weekly, or daily. If I'm fed up with it, I can just simply hit the red X, and I'm now no longer going to get emails for that particular search. One cool thing about follows, particularly if you set it up for a search, is that you can use this as a way to refire that search. So you basically you've saved the search. So here's one that I did earlier: finance near small farms. And so I simply hit that in the follow-up here, and that's going to refire that search, including anything that's been added since I last did it. So it's a way of saving a search, and you can just go up to your follows and you can see all the searches that you've saved. So that's the alerting follow service. Now we also have publications with tables, and what we do is we have a tool that goes into all the PDF files and it's looking for tables. Now, so if I click on one, here is the table that it's found. So you can see here it's found this table, and you can, it's one way of hunting for tabular content. What's really useful, and I'm not sure we're going to find one here, just to say it not perfect. It thinks this is a table because it's seen rows and columns. Again, this is a challenge of dealing with grey literature. We're not, we're trying to basically reverse engineer content that is not structured. What I'm looking for here is to see whether or not we do have a table with numbers in it. So here's a table with numbers. If you hit the CSV button, you can extract that table as a CSV file, stick it into your favorite spreadsheet tool, and start playing with the data. As obviously it's quite a small table, but imagine you've got a really big statistical table from a World Bank report or something. Then that's a really useful tool, going to save you a lot of time in rekeying that table. Now, we also have an organization database, and I just mentioned the World Bank. Let me put in the World Bank here. And here's a tip. If you put two words that you want to get searched together, put them in inverted commas or any phrase, and you will just be searching for that term. So here's the World Bank. Now, the World Bank has got two repositories. So if you were to, go to the World Bank website, you may find one or other repository, and if you were to search for something, you might miss a lot of content. What we do is we pull the content from both repositories, and therefore, if you're coming in and searching, you're going to be searching both repositories in one go. So if I come here and I put in disability rights and citizenship, and let's see what they've got, and you can see here that they've got a lot of content in both their documents repository and in their open knowledge repository. If you were only to search one, you'd miss a lot of content. So for large organizations, using our organization search tool can be really helpful in making sure you don't miss anything. You can also search across organizations. So if we were to go in, Ken will do disability rights and citizenship as a search, and so I'm inside organizations. Say we want to do that search inside publications. But you can use this to search across multiple organizations. So you can go in and you say, right, I want to do that search for the World Bank, but I also want to do that search for the IMF. And I also want to do that search inside the OECD. So this is a way of searching. I'm now searching the bank, the fund, and the OECD for a term all in one go. And that can be a very efficient way of scanning for content from organizations that you can do that very easily inside Policy Commons. So that's discovery and helping you find content from organizations that you may know or you may not know about. But what if you've got content of your own that you'd like to add to Policy Commons? Well, we have an upload button. So you just simply click on upload, and that'll bring you to a screen where you can either upload files if you're the copyright owner, or you have a permission from the copyright owner. You can upload a PDF file, you can upload an Excel file, you can upload a video, you can upload whatever file type you like. Or if you want to share a link, I want to point to content that you don't have permission from the copyright owner or whatever, you can just simply upload the link. And you can see here, these are some links that I've already uploaded myself. What you'll get is a screen that looks like this, where you put in the title, you put in the source, you put in the author names, and you can add as many authors as you need. Add in some tags, put in the publication date, add a summary. And again, here you can either upload content and keep it private. So say you want to upload something and you're not ready to make it public yet, you can keep it private. You can upload something and keep it just for your colleagues or for your students. So if you were, say you were building a list for a class and you wanted to upload a presentation and you only wanted accessible to the class, then you can do that, or you can make it public. And when you're ready, you hit publish, and that will automatically create this page. It'll bring in the cover design if it can, and the item is indexed immediately. So you can upload, say, your own content or content that you think it would be good to add to the database. You can't upload an organization. If you do have suggestions for organizations, please drop us a line and we'll have a look. We like to verify organizations before we add them to the database to make sure that they're putting out trustworthy content. And that's why we have an editorial control over organizations being added to the database. Again, if you were to upload a report, say you uploaded a book that it wasn't something that you've written, and it and the publisher found out, they can click flag this item. That's why it's there, and then we can check it out. But you're very welcome to upload content. But if you want to upload an organization, please let us know, and we'll look at it for you. And of course, once we've set up the organization, we will look to see whether we can harvest the content automatically and bring that content into the database. That can be done quite quickly. Last week we uploaded, on the basis of a recommendation, we uploaded a new organization, and within 24 hours we had 150 of their reports already indexed. So that process can be quite quick. So I pretty much walked you through now the modules, the fact we have a database of organizations. One thing I haven't shown you that I promised I would is mentions. So I'll just go to this as a new item. So that's why it's got the new flag there. What we're doing is that we are analyzing the full text of all the reports, all the 11 billion reports now that we have inside Policy Commons. And we're looking for organization names. They could appear anywhere in the document. So this will pick up where organizations have been involved with authoring, with funding, whether they've just been mentioned in the organization. I mean, for example, international organizations like the OECD put out a lot of standards. Could be someone's referred to a standard in their report, and this is a way of discovering that. So in this particular case, we've searched for Indian agriculture, and these are the organizations that are mentioned in the content that has been found in that item. So the most influential and mentioned organization in this particular search result is the European Union, followed by the Asian Development Bank, followed by the OECD, Harvard, and so on. So you can begin to see quite quickly which organizations are popping up, how influential they are in this particular search result. And some of them could be quite surprising. So the European Council, you wouldn't necessarily imagine that the European Council would appear in content on Indian agriculture, but they are appearing in these reports. And you can see here where they're being mentioned. So it's not like a citation tool. You can see here the president of the European Council, and Van Rompuy was mentioned so it's not that they're being cited or quoted, it's that one of their staff, in this case the president, it is mentioned in a report. So that's what this tool is all about. It's all about trying to see how influential an organization is in a search, in a topic, in a particular area. So I think that's probably enough. I'll wrap up now. As I say, we built Policy Commons with the goal of making this content easier to find and making it more useful because users were struggling to find it. But we're also doing something else. We're trying to make this content part of the scholarly record, and we're beginning to build bridges between Policy Commons and the mainstream scholarly system. So we already have a partnership with Google Scholar. So everything in Policy Commons is being scanned by Google Scholar, so you can find it there. We've exposed Policy Commons now to Clarivate, ProQuest, and EBSCO, so hopefully they will add us to their discovery services later on this year, so that this content can take its, what I think is rightful place in the scholarly record and can be discovered alongside books and journals. So I hope you'll join us in welcoming grey literature into the scholarly record, and I hope you'll find it useful to find content, and maybe even it'll help you make your own grey literature available to researchers around the world. So thank you very much for your time today. If you've got any questions, do get in touch with us. Thank you very much.